Hunt 'em Big with Steve Bartylla. Brought to you by
One of the very most important things to realize when hunting public land, these numbers aren't going to be exact, but they're going to get you really close. Over 80% of the deer on public ground, pressured ground, big woods ground, any of those scenarios, 80% of the deer are spending 80% of their time in less than 20% of the habitat. Only stands to reason if we can nail that 20%, oh man, are we ever in the ball game. Now, we've covered in different shows, and we'll be covering again, how important it is when hunting pressured whitetails to find those locations that everyone else isn't hunting. They create sanctuaries. The more pressured around, the more they go like that. Well, that and even natural travel features are both extremely valuable to have in hand before you ever step foot on that ground scouting. As a matter of fact, as I film this, I'm on a new lease that some buddies picked up. They want me to walk around and tell them what's going on. I'll be brutally honest with you, I'm not going to do so great because I haven't studied the aerial photos. Aerial photos for me, aerial photography, apps like HuntStand, they're my diaper. I am studying this stuff almost every single time before I ever step foot on that property. So what am I looking for? Well, when it comes to the public ground, I'm trying to find those barriers that's making it so difficult for people to cross that create those sanctuaries. When it comes to non-pressured, non-exceedingly high pressured areas, I'm looking for stuff like what's behind me here. Whitetails are creatures of the edge. We have three converging edges right here. When most think of edges, they think of that, oh, the edge of a field where it meets the woods. That is a fine edge. But guess what? Where the corn meets the soybeans is another edge as well. So now, the more you can get those edges to match up, you got where the field is meeting the wood edge, and then you got where the corn is meeting the beans. It almost becomes an intersection, a busy traffic intersection. The more of those edges you can work together, the better. Well, guess what? The same applies to habitat types, and we got three edges right now, and the camera's actually set up on a fourth edge, which is a trail going through here. Okay, spots like this where you've got a bunch of edges converging, as I said, there's a reason that whitetails are referred to as creatures of the edge. They travel them like crazy. The edges tend to produce all sorts of different browse. They can, in this case, they can travel over on the pine side, nice, easy, but one jump and they're into this thick, nasty stuff. Now, look for the edges. Next, play the Sesame Street, the old Sesame Street game. One of these things is not like the other. One of these things does not belong. Look for those unique features. If it's nothing but dry land in the area and you have a swamp, you have a creek, you have a river, you have a pond, you make darn sure you check those edges out there too. Okay, if it's nothing but swamp, man, if you got a peninsula dry land going through there, you're in business. If there's a peninsula going out into the swamp but not across the swamp, odds are really good that there's deer bedding on there. You can see, especially if you're using topographical maps along with a topographical overlay along with the maps, you can see those nasty ditches that are looking like V's. The contours go like this as they're going up. That's because there's an erosion ditch like crazy there. Odds are, if it's bad enough, there's a heck of a trail wrapping the top and the bottom. You can see benches, you can see ridges, you can see all this stuff from studying aerial photography and topo maps. Study them, come up with a checklist of locations that you want to scout, go out there and scout them all the exact same day. A great little trick, if you don't have scouting cameras to slap up mock scrapes in each spot. You don't even have to use scent. Just create that big dirt oval and then come back a couple days later and check for oversized tracks. It's not a guarantee that's a big buck, but generally speaking, big bucks have really big hoof prints and they sink deep. The more you do that type of stuff, the more you stack the odds in your favor before you even leave the comfort of your own home.
Final thoughts, brought to you by Huntworth.
Aerial photography, contour maps, apps like HuntStand, they give us a tremendous advantage because they allow us to find the features we want to scout before we ever step into the deer woods. By having that checklist, is every spot going to be a slam dunk 5-star stand setup? No. But you hit 4 or 5 of them and odds are 2, 3 of them truly are. And if you really want to figure it out, either slap up a camera on it. If you can't, just make a mock scrape with a great big dirt oval and then come back a couple days later and check for tracks. But by studying this stuff before you get out there, you're not stomping all over the woods. You're going directly to the locations you're interested in, and that does nothing but up our odds for success.